Shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Rule Well. Peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect. Noise in his gospel, brother, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is just a quick lesson through the spirit, kind of piggybacking off a few brothers, Apostle Tahari, Elder Yashawamba, Elder Brother Manada Zagba, and Elder Brother Karatazah. Just name a few brothers that went into the whole being under the curse. How does the curses of Deuteronomy 28 apply to us if we go into Galatians, the 3rd chapter, about us being free from the law of the curse? How can this then apply to us as a nation? Well, you have to understand that, for one thing, you have to understand that the commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai that we broke, known as the Mosaic law, still stands today, okay? And there are penalties for breaking the law, even to this day. Okay, prime example, right? Let's just say if you commit adultery, right? Now, you may be able to get away with it for long, but eventually that karma comes back to you, or sometimes you may be put to death on the spot. But usually, in all aspects of it, when you break any law, statutes, or commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, you are pretty much penalized for it. And a prime example what depicts that is look at the state of the world today. Okay, if you look at the state of the planet Earth today, you know why the Earth is in such a curse, in a totally depraved state? Is because they're not keeping the commandments of the Most High. Therefore, this Earth is cursed, man. This is the reason why you have crazy inclement weather. This is the reason why you have transsexuals. This is the reason why you have animals bugging out. This is the reason why you don't yield the full increase of the crops according to the law, statutes, and commandments, because for the simple fact there's not a land Sabbath being kept. And this is where you get all these manufacturers of GMO fruits. This is when you have wicked leaders and wicked dictators that come up in power and they push unrighteous policies, and ultimately is destroyed because they're not living by the commandments of the Most High. Okay, the Lord said, seek the commandments and live. Okay, so when it goes into being free from the curse of the law, that just basically meaning that because Yahweh Shai bore that curse, okay, he took those sins upon himself, ultimately we will be delivered from our condition. Okay, and ultimately us not being put to death on the spot. Because look, in an ancient world, if you commit a sin punishable to death, you got put to death before the sun was down. Okay, like prime example, when the man went to pick up sticks on the Sabbath and he got put to death. Same thing when the Ark of the Covenant fell, when he just tried to stop it, and then he was literally, the Most High took him out, just like that. Okay? Because the curse of the law is death. You see? But now, since Yahweh Shai have bore that curse upon himself, basically, you know, we have grace. So ultimately, it's an exception of grace period, man, that we're not literally penalized on the spot for breaking the law because we have grace. Like right now, right? We're free from the curse of the law through grace of Yahweh Shai's sacrifice. Because now, you know, we're in our land of our captivity, okay, which is the ultimate form of grace, because now we can't keep the Sabbath perfect. Like we're in the Shabbat right now, but certain brothers are at work. But according to the scriptures, you're not supposed to do any work on the Sabbath. But can you go and get every Shabbat off? No, you cannot. You know what I'm saying? Certain brothers live with their wives, and their wives come on a rag. Brothers can't afford to put their wives in a different house or a B&B for a week because of hard times. So therefore, you know, brother, he's unclean, but through grace and through mercy of Yahweh Shai, ultimately we're redeemed from that curse. Okay, so you have to understand how to put things in proper context, vocab, you know, but instead you want to try to debunk us from being the people of the scriptures, but you can't debunk us because the curses still apply. We're still in our captivity. Okay, Jake is still catching hell in America and around the world. And that's how you really get around that. So you can try to use Galatians, the 3rd chapter, which I pretty much just broke it down, but you're trying to use that in order to justify us not being the true people of the Bible. But you can't do anything because the curses still stand today. We're still under the curse because we're in the land of our captivity, but we're free from the curse of the law because we're not literally being put to death for breaking the law. It's called grace, okay? And you should know that because you teach basically replacement theology, and Christians, they teach that you can do whatever you want and not be penalized for it. But in fact, the scriptures doesn't teach that. Okay, so this is the book of Deuteronomy 11, and I'm going to start at verses. Whole chapter is good, but I'm going to start at 26. Deuteronomy 11. This whole chapter is damn good because it goes into the rewards of obedience. So this is Deuteronomy 11:1. It says, therefore thou shalt love the Lord thy power and keep his charge and his statutes and his judgments and his commandments always. Okay? Always. Always, and just it isn't just for a short dispensation of time. Okay? This is the law, the royal law that governs our life. Okay? Because when you think of a law, laws are put into place to keep you civil, or to keep things in order. That's the reason why you have red lights, stop signs. It's the reason why you don't drive on the other side of the road, because without a law, you have lawlessness. And what comes from lawlessness? Chaos, okay? Anarchy. So the laws were never done away with, but the curse of the law, okay, when, we would be put to death for doing something out of pocket on the spot, that's not the case anymore. Then sometimes the Most High can put you to death on the spot, depending on his mercy. Okay, so you have to understand that we wasn't necessarily freed from the curses of Deuteronomy 28:15 on down. We wasn't free from that yet. But ultimately, if we endure, we will be free from that, and we're going to prove that. Okay, it says his commandments always, and know ye this day, for I speak not with the children which ye have not known, and which have not seen the chastisement of the Lord Yahweh, his greatness, his mightiness, his hand, and his stretched out arm, and his miracles, and his acts, which he did in the midst of Egypt unto Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, into all his lands. Okay, and this goes into basically how the Most High delivered us from the land. But hey, it says here, verse 8, and I'm gonna jump around a little bit. Therefore shall ye keep all the commandments which I command you this day, that ye may be strong and go in and possess the land whither ye go to possess it. Now, see, this is speaking of that time, okay? Because he was like, well, this could be for that particular time, but what about now? Well, what do you mean now? You remember, at this time, we wasn't in captivity under no nation. You see what I'm saying? We was actually sovereign coming into we was going to be sovereign coming into our land. We're not sovereign anymore. So therefore, we can't really keep the laws perfectly. Okay, therefore, grace is abound because of the blood of Hamashiach. But ultimately, the law, statutes, and commandments are really for sovereign people. Okay, because the laws, basically, it shows entrepreneurship, it shows rulership, leadership. It's a whole system. It's a whole societal-based thing that's set up on the government of the Israelites, but we're not sovereign right now. We're still under the curse. We're still in our captivity. Brothers still get sick. Brothers are still fired from jobs. Brothers are still going through women problems. Okay, so ultimately being free from the curse of the law, meaning we got the grace. We're not put to death on the spot for bullshit anymore. Well, I won't even say bullshit. We're not put to death on the spot for things that we may go off on. Now, of course, you're not going to commit sin like adultery. You're not going to steal from brothers. You're not going to blaspheme the Holy Spirit. You're not going to do any of that, because you can warrant you getting put to death on the spot. And anybody that has half a brain working, that has some type of spiritual substance towards the Most High, will know not to offend in that nature, if you may understand that. Okay, but I'm going to go down a little bit. 13, it says, and it shall come to pass, if ye should hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love Yahweh your power, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and latter rain, that thou mayest gather thy corn, and thy wine and thy oil, and I will send grass in thy fields, and for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. But take heed to yourselves, that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And this is what we did. Okay, ultimately, Jacob's worshiping other gods. They're doing exactly what the Most High told them not to do. So therefore, they're under curse. Okay, though they're not being put to death on the spot, because for one thing, the law, statutes, and commandments are not being pushed predominantly in the planet Earth. Okay, the commandments of the Most High is not the ultimate form of law in Esau's kingdom. Okay, because if Esau was pushing the law, statutes, and commandments, he wouldn't have half the problems he's having. And honestly speaking, Jake wouldn't be committing all the acts that he's committing now. But through that grace of Yahushua, ultimately we have grace through his sacrifice. Okay, and it says, and then the Lord wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up heaven, that there be no rain, that the land yield not her fruit, unless ye perish quickly from off the good land which Yahweh gave thee. Therefore shall ye lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your land, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. Okay, like you remember they used to walk around. You have the commandments on the meter. You know, you have it on you. You would know the fringes, everything. And it says, and that ye should teach them to your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and thou risest up. And thou shalt write them upon the door of the post of thy house, and upon thy gates, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children, in the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven and upon earth. And for it says, and for if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments, which I command you to do them, to love Yahweh your power, and to walk in his ways, and to cleave unto him, then will the Lord drive out all these nations before you, and ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. Every place whereon the soles of your feet should tread should be yours, and the wilderness of Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even to the utmost sea, shall your coast be. And there shall no man be able to stand before you. For Yahweh your power shall lay the fear of you and the dread upon all the land that ye should tread upon, as he have said it to you. But behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. See, they go to curse. A blessing if you obey the commandments of Yahweh thy power, which I command you this day. Okay, meaning this day, meaning it stands to this day. And a curse if you will not obey the commandments of Yahweh thy power, but to turn aside out the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods which ye have not known. And it shall come to pass, when Yahweh thy power have brought thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, that thou should be a blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Ebal. And they not on the other side of Jordan, by the way where the sun goeth down, in the land of the Canaanites which dwell in the campaign over against Gilgal, besides the plains of Moab. And ye shall pass over Jordan to go in to possess the land which Yahweh your power giveth you, and ye shall possess it and dwell therein. And ye shall observe to do all the statutes and judgments which I set before you this day. This stands valid into this very day. But you have to understand that we've broken the commandments, okay? And ultimately, Yahweh Shai became our curse. He took that unto himself, okay, to give us a chance as to making it back to the Father. So ultimately, we're not penalized for breaking the law on the spot, but you will be penalized if you break the law, but you have chances now to repent versus, you know what I'm saying, versus you get into some type of act and you get put out the camp, you get stoned, you get put to death, okay? Like, for instance, right, if a Jake commit adultery, he's out the camp off the rip. Now, whatever the Lord decides to do with him, then that's between him and Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Can the man still make it? Yeah, if he sincerely repent and the Lord deals with him, then yeah. Okay, it's several brothers in the truth that's committed adultery, and you know they're still out there speaking, teaching, and they're very sorrowful, which is the ultimate form of grace. Okay, that Yahweh Shai he died for, but we're not condoning brothers to commit adultery because sometimes the Lord may not forgive you for that. But the point I'm making is that he wasn't stoned, he wasn't put to death on the spot, because the Lord ultimately forgave him. Okay, so let's go to this. Let's deal with this real quick. So this is the book of Galatians 3, and I'm gonna start at verses. Let's start at verses 6. It says, even as Abraham believed in the Most High, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Know ye therefore that they which are of faith, the same are the children of Abraham, right? Because Abraham displayed his faith through his works. Okay, the commandments were given orally then, but he still exercised faith because the law of faith and actually doing the law was still intact in the ancient world too, because you just couldn't have faith and not enact it through your works. Okay, everything that we're reading here is of old. Okay, it's just being reiterated for a lot of time because remember, Israel, we lost this. That's why it tells you that I stir up your pure minds by the way of remembrance. You've once known these things. We've known this. We're just getting it back now. Is what vocab don't understand. And it says here, it says, know ye therefore that they which are of faith are the same as the children of Abraham. And the scripture, foreseeing that Yahweh would justify the heathen through faith, preached before the gospel to Abraham, saying, all in these shall all nations be blessed. Okay, because isn't the 12 tribes separate? Even though we're one nation, those tribes represents a nation of their own as well, and within our nation. Okay, when you go into the word nation in Greek, it goes into the Greek word ethnos. All right, and let me double check that for Galatians 3 and 8, just to make sure we on point with that. You know, because sometimes Esau likes to change things around, you know, and sometimes the definitions be off in the concordance. But This is why we go into the root words. Yep, ethnos, which is a multitude, whether of men or beasts associated or living together, thinking about tribes. Okay, a company, troop, swarm, a multitude of individuals of the same nature or genus. Okay, the human family, a tribe, nation, people. Okay, it says in the Old Testament, foreign nations not worshiping the true God, pagans, Gentiles, which those are Israelites too. Okay, because Israel was dispersed among the nations, but also heathens, which Israel was known as the heathen as well, because they was unlikened to heathens. It says Paul uses the term for Gentile Christians, aka Israelites, but we focused on the tribe, a nation, a people, a group. That's why it says all nations should be blessed. Okay, through Abraham, because the blessing was given through Abraham, passed on down to Isaac, to Jacob, to his 12 sons, hence us, which those are our forefathers. And it says, so then they which are of faith are blessed with faithful Abraham, for as many as are of the works of the law are under the curse. Okay, and what was the works of the law? For one thing, you break the law, you will put to death. Depending on what law you break, you will penalize on the spot. Okay, for it is written, curses everyone that continue not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. Right, because what? Captivity, death, okay, going among our nations, etc. We're in that predicament now. Our direct state of being as men and women of the nation of Israel today is a direct result of violating the Mosaic law. This is the reason why we're in this predicament. That's a direct violation of that. But now we have the Messiah. We have the spirit of the Messiah now. Okay, so we're not bound by certain laws or certain. We're still under the law, statutes, and commandments, but we're under grace. You have to keep the law to the best of your ability, but we're under grace. Okay, so therefore we're not necessarily penalized overnight for breaking the commandments, but we don't just break the commandments because, you know what I'm saying, we're under grace. No, because once you break the law, statutes, and commandments, common sense, you would be put to death. Okay, if you sleep with a man's wife, if that man don't get you, the Lord is going to get you. That's just how it works. You still, you know, the Lord is going to hold you accountable for that. So there is still penalties for breaking the law, but you have to understand we don't have a Levitical priesthood set up in this time to enact those particular laws, because the Holy of Holies, that Yahweh Shai atoned for our sins, he's the ultimate Holy of Holies. He's the mediator, you see. So he goes for us to the Father. He's our medium to the Father. Okay, just like the woman, just like the man is the medium to the woman to get to Yahweh Shai. Okay, it's an order. Okay, but it says, but that no man is justified by the law in the sight of the Most High. It is evident for the just shall live by faith, right? Because when you believe, you do things according to the law, statutes, and commandments, and ultimately living by faith is believing that Yahweh Shai did these things in his body, man. Meaning that he's taken on the sins of Israel to himself. But through faith, you're going to exemplify those works through believing in Yahweh Shai by doing the right thing, teaching, you know what I'm saying, being brotherly, you know, keeping the commandments to the best of your ability, keeping the Shabbat, all these things. Okay, this chapter is not by far at all giving us a license to say fuck the commandments, because without the commandments, there's lawlessness, and therefore you can be homosexuals, you can be adulterers, you can be pimps, prostitutes, and nowhere in this chapter does this condone that. So we see how Christians try to sneak that in there, but basically being free from the curse of the law is the fact that Yahweh Shai is above the law. Okay, we don't have to literally be penalized on a spot if we go off, because we go off every day. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, I mean, we in a Shabbat. I mean, I got electricity in my house. You know what I'm saying? I got like a little portable stove, because I don't turn on a stove when I cook on a Shabbat. I either have some food ready, or I go get some food, or I have like a little portable stove I can plug into the wall. It's like a little electric thing. It's like a little electric pan I cook on. You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep the laws to the best of my ability, but technically I'm going off. I have lights on, all this shit. You see? So, I mean, Lord, he has mercy on that because he understands. Technically, I'm in work. I'm working right now. I'm literally working from home on my laptop. You know what I'm saying? Talking to people, clients, emails. I shouldn't be doing that. But see, that's being free from the curse of the law, if you understand that. Okay? But it says, but no man is justified by the law in the sight of the Most High. For it is evident for the just shall live by faith. And the law is not of faith, but the man that doth them shall live in them. Okay? For the anointed have redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. And what was the curse? The Lord was basically pretty much, he was crucified. He was put to death. Okay, now ultimately as a result, when we came over here in slavery, Jake took that curse upon themselves as well, because remember, Jake said, well, look, let his blood be upon us and our children. And as well, we had to pay for going off because we broke the commandments, and Moses broke it down. Deuteronomy 28:15 through 68. Really apply for this time now, because, hey, the Lord said that, look, there's a penalty for breaking the law, and that's death. So ultimately, the Lord had to give us some payback, man, because that would make him an unjust power if he allowed us to get away with that. But Jake, we didn't get away with it. We're still suffering from that now as we speak. Okay, and like the elder brother said, sure, we other nations go through things, but we are focusing on our nation. Okay, we don't give a shit about Elam or Esau or any of them. They have their gods they pray to. We have our power we supposed to abide by. So we don't give a shit what type of domestic violence goes on in Esau's home. That ain't our problem. Okay, our problem is what we're dealing with among us. We are concerned about our nation, not you other people. Y'all take that up with y'all God. We have to take this up with our power. But it says, your anointed have redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, curses everyone that hangeth from a tree. Okay, and that the blessings of Abraham may come on the Gentiles through Yahushua, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. Okay, and what's so beautiful about verse 13, it says, cursed be everyone that hangeth on a tree. Yahushua was crucified, right? Now, when you go into 2,000 years into the future, into this modern day lynching, that proves right there that Jake was still under the curse of the law. Because for the simple fact, wasn't they hanging niggas from trees? Okay, you still got Jakes being lynched down south today. Why? Because they ain't under the grace of Yahushua, man. Okay, because they're not dealing with the truth. They're not dealing with Yahushua. Jake is still being shot down today by cops, man. Okay, Native Americans and Latinos, same concept applied. So what do you mean that this does not apply to us today? Jake was just being lynched. Jake's still being lynched, but literally like just 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, Jake was still getting hung on trees. KKK burning crosses in our lawns. If this didn't apply to us, then who else is it talking about? Before you try to slither your tainted breakdowns into this thing, all because you're butthurt because we're the children of Israel and you not. That's why I pray the Most High really bring a horrible destruction upon you, vocab, man. Straight up, and when you get judged, bro, it's gonna be so beautiful. Literally, bro, if the Lord gets you before the missiles, I'm gonna get so fucking wasted, bro, and I'm gonna do a lesson wasted just to mock your ass, man. I pray the Most High get you now, and I pray that he bring you back from the dead and hit your ass with the missiles, man. Cause that dude is he's like a gnat, man. He's like a fucking gnat to shit, a fly to shit, man. He just won't go away, but that's cool. Because hey, he's lightweight anyway. He's not really making any noise. He just got a bunch of butthurt, disgruntled niggas that feel some type of way that come on his channel to defend they folly, man. Like why would you go on Vocab's channel anyway? But anyway, and this proves the point I want to make. This is Revelation 22, and I'm gonna start at verses 22 and 2. Revelation. It says, and in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, there was the tree of life, which bare 12 manners of fruit, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the trees were for the healing of the nations. And there should be no more curse, okay, but the throne of the Most High of the Lamb should be in it, and his servants should serve him, okay? So what is the point of it being no more curse? Why is it speaking on the curses at the time that the kingdom is set up, that there shouldn't be no more? Because we were under the curses until the Lord came to redeem us, man. Now, it's true we are redeemed from the curse of the law because Yahushua took on the ultimate price for the nation to get us back to the Father. But like we said, entering the new covenant, that's for the covenant has been purchased. It has been laid down, but it's a process of time that we're going to enter into it. We're just not there yet. It has been purchased. The Lord has came and died and purchased the new covenant for his people. But we just not there yet. We're going into that. It's a process of time. It's for a latter time. It's an inheritance. And you don't get inheritance overnight. And that's the thing that Jake don't understand. Jake thinks you're supposed to get the preeminence overnight. No, the Lord is not setting up a government with Esau's government, man. Okay, he's coming to take this man down. Then he's going to set up the new covenant. But it's already been purchased by his blood. That's the ultimate point, so we can be gods again. We won't die anymore, but on this side, we're still going to go through things that's allotted to go to until Yahushua comes back. And that's why it says, and there should be no more curse. Okay, but the throne of the Most High and the Lamb should be in it, and his servants should serve him, and they should see his face, and his name should be on their foreheads, man. Okay, so hey, we're still under the curses to this day. We just have grace, and the Lord purchased, okay, the kingdom for us, so to speak. You know, so I'm in it there giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash. And with that, Shalom and the Barber Ball. Shalom.